Good day, everyone. As you can see, we are in the streets of Nsukka. Today, we'll be bringing to you the opinions and stance of the masses, students and lecturers on godfatherism in Nigerian politics. I am Pressman Tracy, and with me is
Pressman Chuba
from the Politics and International Relations Desk, Economics, and this is VOX POP. Wisdom about current president of the Policy Analysis and Research Group, PAT. And today we'll be talking on the effect of godfatherism in Nigerian politics. So, Wisdom, how are you today? All right. So, we just want to know your views and your opinion on godfatherism in Nigerian politics.
godfatherism is very unique to Nigeria, and it highlights how leadership or through so in Nigeria, that's local government, states, sometimes even national. So so just know that it's actually corrupted, not something that should.
Yeah, so do you think that there is a positive effect of godfatherism in a case whereby a candidate doesn't have the resources, but he's a good enough candidate? Do you think you can classify that as godfatherism?
All right, so I told you that the key word for godfatherism is corruption. So it does have a positive effect. Sometimes the outcomes may be positive. But one thing I need us to establish that it's not a sustainable way of it's not a sustainable means to determine who gets into political office. So one of the things that affect one of the causes of godfatherism, you can say it's voters' participation in the country. Where in the cases where you see people participate actively in democracy, you find it very difficult for one man to influence elections outcome. Another way is quality of the political institutions, the political institutions are like electoral commissions, the rule of law, the independence of the judiciary. All of these things have to be intact because we know by observation, we know by common sense that when people are actively participating in it, what they see is what they actually understand, not what someone else is standing for. So in some cases, godfatherism, as asked, does have a positive effect. Sometimes it might bring about a form of leadership that might have a positive outcome on the economy, which is all on the society. It is something here, but as a fact, godfatherism shouldn't be something that should be abolished.
All right, thank you so much. I believe we've been very much enlightened.
Yeah.
Do you have any other question for him?
So, Wisdom, where do you think Nigerian politics is actually heading to? Because in Nigeria, we have seen a case whereby the godfathers themselves want to take charge. They don't want to be at the back seat anymore to pivot political decisions in the country. Where do you think we are heading to with that?
All right, so I think you're referencing the case of Tinubu, I guess.
Yeah. Very obvious, right?
All right, so well, we've seen that Tinubu has played a role behind the scenes for years, and it had all led to this moment where he has his intentions to run for president. Most times, in some scenarios, these things may occur. Now, what I'm trying to say is that for Tinubu's case, he hasn't entered the presidential office yet. Understand? And yet he has shown some form of godfatherism within his state, Lagos State. So one will assume that if he's to go into the presidential seat, he would replicate that same, what I call it, that same program, that same method, that same ideology in that, and it's a problem, because he has just performed it on state level. But now, if people let him get to that national level, it might really pose a problem. So Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Alright, so thank you so much for your presence today, Amar. Please, we got to interview you.
Thank you so much, Anna.
So, how do you feel today? How are you today?
Good afternoon. I'm good. Well, thank God for that.
All right, so today we're talking about godfatherism in Nigerian politics, and we just want to know your opinion and your views on godfatherism in Nigerian politics, just like I mentioned earlier.
Okay. I must say this is a very nice and interesting topic to deliberate on. We're straight to the point, talking about godfatherism or politics and godfatherism per se in Nigerian politics, in a way put in. I must sincerely or studently put it this way that godfatherism is as old as Nigerian politics itself. You get, and if we were to drive it or look at its etymological derivation, I'll put it that way, then we have to see it that godfatherism on its own is being derived from what Christian theology see as what godfatherism, or God having this what we call a godfather or sponsorship in terms of baptism and all that. From my own perspective and from what I learned, I believe that this is the root of where that very concept comes about. I believe that it is being derived from Christian theology down to this politics. So, talking about, I think my view on what it looks like. Okay, from what it has been known, this is actually basically centers on maybe a father giving a directives or a guideline to a son. So having being a godfather means that that person is on the skill or specializes on on training that giving a direction to the incumbent person in position or in power. Yeah. So that's the little meaning of it.
Okay, so from what you've said, it seems like you're coming from a positive angle. So let's look at how godfatherism has affected Nigerian politics, because you gave us a general view and you related it to religion. So let's look at it in line with our politicians and how it's affecting Nigeria right now. Let's look at the good and the bad.
Okay. Godfatherism in politics, especially as it relates to Nigeria, this one as a case study. Personally speaking, it has no good impartation in our country. You get? It has damaged a lot. In fact, it is a pause to democracy. Nigeria as a country practices what a democratic system of government. So applying godfatherism, you get, it damages everything. That's the point I'm trying to say, because it brings kind of a power tussle between the father and the son. That is between the godfather and the son. Mm-hmm. And where there's this kind of tussle, there's this kind of fight or conflict between these two parties, nothing stays stable at that point, because the godson has to see a way to fight. You get? Yes. To fight his godfather, and at the same time or in the same line, the godfather will always see provisions of doing what, of terminating what's it called, the tenure of such godson.
Okay. In light of this, is there a light in the end of the tunnel for Nigeria in terms of the ends of godfatherism? Do you think that there is a light at the end of the tunnel?
As far as there's politics, there must be what practice of godfatherism. But we still have hope, because we have to be optimistic.
Yes.
We'll still have hope that no matter what it is, we still have people who are God-fearing, or people who fears the directives of God so much. People who believes in the people and not people who believes in godfathers. Because one of the causes that make people to have or to acquire godfathers and all that is simply because they want to have that power of incumbency.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two is what we call the nepotism. Mm-hmm. You get, favoring that you are there simply because you are my brother or from the same side. Yeah. Okay, I will give you that power. Are you with me now?
Yes.
Greediness and all that. These are the causes of people engaging in godfatherism and all that. Mm-hmm. So in line to your question, my dear, we still have hope. Yeah. That's what I can say for now.
All right, thank you so much, Honorable Madu Abuchi Sixtus, aka Bishop. Thank you. We are pleased to have you in our midst. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so much welcome. I'm glad to be interviewed this afternoon. In fact, I must say that I'm very grateful for this kind of opportunity. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
I really appreciate it.
We've heard from the people. A majority do not have good things to say about godfatherism in Nigerian politics. Now, sit tight, fasten your seatbelts, and stay tuned as we now delve deeply into the menace of godfatherism in Nigerian politics. I remain Pressman Chiuba, and with me,
Pressman Tracy.
and we are from the Politics and International Relations Desk, Economics Department. This is Vox Pop.